Hello and welcome once again to Jamie's Running. I'm here with another shoe review. It's another Nike box. It's another Pegasus Trail 2, but this time it's the GORE-TEX version. So in one of my last videos, I bought the Pegasus Trail 2 ahead of an ultramarathon that I was running. I was looking for a shoe to carry me 55 kilometers across trail, across road, across woodland, across a little bit of everything in really wet conditions. The shoe held up fantastic. The only downside was by the end of the run, on the wettest day of the year so far, my feet were absolutely soaked through to the bone. So the new GORE-TEX version of the Nike Pegasus Trail 2 has just dropped and I've picked up a pair. This, I'm hoping, is going to see me well through the wet months. So we're into October now, we're heading into the dark, wet, cold seasons. So what I'm really looking for is something that's going to keep me nice and dry throughout the autumn and winter. And I don't necessarily just mean trails either. So what the Pegasus Trail 2 proved to me during the ultramarathon is that it is possible to run on road. Yes, it is a little bit heavier than regular road running shoes, but actually it held up fairly well. So what I'm not going to do is to repeat everything that I said on the initial review video of the regular Pegasus Trail 2. But straight out of the box, the first thing that I noticed with this is the awesome colorway. So I love the contrasting colors of the bright, luminous laces and pull tab with the slightly darker upper and this sort of mint green speckled thick midsole there. So the midsole is React foam. That held up great over the longer distances. It provided me with a nice amount of cushion. My legs didn't feel all that tired towards the end, despite having covered a really long distance and a longer distance than I'd ever done before. And that wasn't just on trails, it was on road, it was on pavement, it was through the trails, it was on the woodland, it was knee deep in muddy water. So jumping straight into the upper then, so this is coated in GORE-TEX, which provides the waterproofing. So what you'll notice compared to the regular Pegasus Trail 2 is that there's no holes throughout the upper here to provide breathability. Obviously, if you had holes in this, you would be getting very wet very quickly. So this has got a little bit of a sort of a plasticky feel to it on the upper, a little bit different to the feeling on the upper of the normal Pegasus Trail 2, and it also feels slightly more rigid. The shoe doesn't feel all that much heavier than the other version, so I don't think it'll be noticeable during the run. And what you can see if you look up close, you can sort of see where it's been sealed. Each join between the different materials is sealed with a kind of you can see a slight overlap of the see-through glue, and that's going to protect you from the water. So the one thing that I am wondering about is the tongue. So the tongue isn't attached inside. And so if you do go too deep in the water, I'm assuming that the water is going to seep in via the gap in the tongue there and wet your foot. But I certainly think when it comes to rain and that kind of thing, rain on the upper is going to be all right. But yes, fully submerged feet and you might struggle with keeping dry. I like the GORE-TEX branding that they've got throughout. So they've got this little tab on the side here that says GORE-TEX. And they've got it on the side printed here, GORE-TEX also, which I think is really cool and sets the design off quite nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw them on real quick and just see how they feel compared to the other Pegasus Trail 2. So slide on with no problem whatsoever. There we have it. Right, so in terms of fit and feel then, it's a very familiar feeling having already worn the regular Pegasus Trail 2 and not the GORE-TEX version. The sizing is exactly the same, the midsole feels exactly the same, the entire shoe pretty much feels exactly the same. There is perhaps a slightly tougher feel to the upper, but it's not really noticeable, and so I'm expecting that this version will feel the exact same to run in as the regular version. So all that's left for me to do is to lay them out, pray for some rain at some point in the next couple of days, get out there in the wet and hopefully come home with dry feet. I will see you when it's raining. Yo! have some rain. Let's do it.
Right, so here we are then, early morning. We've had some heavy rainfall, so it's time to try and find some puddles and test out just how waterproof these things are. So then, I am a little under 17 kilometers in to a long run this morning. It's been wet, the rain's stopped now, but there's been plenty of puddles to splash through, and I'm pleased to say there's no sign of wet inside my shoes. The outsides are a bit damp, but I'm certainly not feeling any of that all the way through to my socks. The thing that I am finding though is because there's no perforations along the top of that along the top of the foot, it doesn't have that breathability, so every time you're stepping forward, you're not getting any airflow through to the top of your foot. And actually what I'm feeling is my feet getting pretty sweaty inside. So the sun's just about reaching the horizon. It was interesting running in the dark. I did roll my ankle into a pothole. I had a head torch on earlier, but I've just taken that off. So at least I'm now able to see a little better. Right, here we are coming in for the finish. And that is it then. So a little over half marathon distance this morning, 21.21 kilometers. It started out raining, it dried up, but the floor was wet, so I got to test out just how dry the shoes kept my feet. I'm pleased to say that they did really well. So I was splashing through puddles. I've got no signs of wet feet, which is great. The one thing I will say is this is not a fast road running shoe. From maybe 10k onwards, I started to feel that extra weight as I was running. My legs started to tire. I felt my heart rate elevating a little bit. On the uphills, I did feel like I was having to pick that shoe up and put it back down. It was a little bit tiresome, a little bit of a laboured effort, just because of that extra weight. And that's probably because I was running at a faster pace than I would do, say, on the trails. I've averaged there at 4 minutes and 44 kilometre. Some of those kilometres were around 4:30, some were around 5 minutes. And so I was using the shoe really faster than it was made to be used. Where it really shines is on the trails, which was proven when I ran in the original Pegasus Trail 2 for the ultramarathon recently. So it's not something that I'm going to be bagging loads and loads of miles in on the harder surfaces, but I'll certainly enjoy running on the trails through woodland and shorter, wetter runs on the road perhaps. In terms of the grip on the uphills on the pavement, if it was really wet, there was a little bit of slippage, but overall I wouldn't really complain. Very similar feel to the regular Pegasus Trail 2, the only difference being that lack of breathability and therefore the top of your feet getting a little bit sweaty. But overall, great shoe, really happy to have them in my rotation. I look forward to using them on hikes, on trail runs throughout the autumn and the winter. I think they'll really shine. And to top it off, they look absolutely awesome. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that sort of good stuff. Hit the notification bell wherever that may be on the screen, and I will see you on the next video. Yo!
Okay, so I've been out for my run. I've got a little bit wet and muddy, you can see. And what I thought I'd do, just to check the waterproof, because I didn't really get a lot of rain while I was out there, but I did splash in quite a lot of puddles. What I thought I'd do is, while I'm cleaning them off, put my hand inside the shoe while I'm running the water onto the top of the shoe, just to see if my hands get wet and therefore how waterproof they are. So let's give this a try. You can see there the water is just beading up on top of the GORE-TEX. I can feel the warmth of the warm water coming through, but I can't actually feel any water. Let's just get in a little closer. So I'm taking the experiment one step further, and I've put a bit of kitchen roll inside the shoe while I'm running the water on it, just to see if the kitchen roll comes out wet. What I was finding when I was just using my hand is that I could feel the cold of the running water, and I was getting confused as to whether that was actual damp or just cold. So we'll take this tissue out and have a look. And there we have it. Bone dry, so there's no water penetrating that upper at all.